Thank you.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to top Kirk Douglas or certainly Al Pacino's Buddy Rich story because, my God, Al, that was incredible. But I'm going to take a brief moment here tonight. It's hard to come up with what to say about an artist who has meant so much to so many in this industry. A director who's inspired generations of filmmakers and whose impact has permeated through movie screens around the world. But one of the most remarkable things about Martin Scorsese, besides being one of our greatest filmmakers, is the generosity that he exudes to everybody on set, from his creative team to his crew, and especially the actors that he works with. He treats each and every one of us as a real collaborator, and that's not easily said. You can say you're a collaborator, but Marty truly wants to know what you have to say as an artist. These collaborations have been forged through the years. They're strong symbiotic relationships with actors like the great Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, Joe Pesci, and most recently Al Pacino, and dare I say myself. Through the years, these collaborations have become more like his alter egos, his muse, or more like his family. It was almost 20 years ago, Marty, when I first had the honor of stepping foot onto your set, Gangs of New York. I was 25 years old, and I remember through the mastery of Dante Ferretti, I was walking around these sets. It was like a mass-scale caravansary that had popped up. He recreated New York's 5 points suddenly, right before my eyes, all within the walls of the very historic Cinecittà Studios in Rome. I knew that at that moment, my life and my work would never be the same. Working with Marty became almost like an encapsulated ecosystem. It was an ecosystem that vastly enhanced my knowledge and appreciation for cinema as an entire art form historically. He quickly became much more than just a director. He became a collaborator, a mentor, a friend, and a guide through the history of our shared cinematic past. Decade after decade, his films have inspired filmmakers and actors alike. Almost every single artist in our industry has been influenced in one way or another by his cinematic achievements. The films, of course, as you've seen tonight, they speak for themselves. Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Age of Innocence, Gangs of New York, Wolf of Wall Street, Silence. It's one of the greatest bodies of work in film history, to put it frankly. And even more astounding, he continues to this very day to make cinema at the very pinnacle of artistic ambition and achievement. With his latest film, Marty has once again reunited with some of his most iconic collaborators. And if you've seen The Irishman, you know it plays like an elegy. It's a movie about looking upon what you've left behind and squaring up with all of it. But for me, and even what's more astounding about this film, in my mind, Marty transcends his own signature genre and creates a film that methodically transforms itself into an exploration of our very own universally shared mortality. The film is absolutely breathtaking. Through his work with the Film Foundation and the World Cinema Project, Marty has helped to both ensure and preserve all of our greatest cinema's treasures to the best of his ability, and instill the very same passion he brings to these endeavors and the next generation of filmmakers. What he's already left behind stretches beyond the bounds of just a filmography. It overshadows 12 Oscar nominations. It's a special kind of cinematic immortality. He has a body of work that will be revered for centuries and generations to come. This accolade, the Santa Barbara International Film Festival's Kirk Douglas Award, is given to lifelong contributors of cinema. There is quite likely no individual more fitting on this earth that fits under those guidelines than the man we're about to toast here tonight. It is my unique honor and my pleasure to present this year's Kirk Douglas Award for Excellence in Film to the incomparable Martin Scorsese.
Hi, this is Jeff Bridges here, and I live in Santa Barbara, and I watch Santa Barbara Arts TV.
Hello, my name's John Cleese, and if you recognize me, it's because I was formerly the foreign minister in Margaret Thatcher's government. And you are, at the moment, watching me on Santa Barbara Arts TV. Is that all right?
Yes, that's perfect.
Good. Santa Barbara Arts TV. And apparently it's jolly good.
Thank you. You won't believe this, but I lost my speech, and it was a bit of hysteria over by that table, but Katie found it for me, and I feel much better, but I didn't have a chance to practice it. So you're my first audience. This will not take long, but this will, arranging these mics. This is probably going to take some time. Okay. All right. I am happy to be here tonight. I am, really, truly, I am. I love it here. I love the honoree here. I love him. And as we honor a man who I and many, many others consider to be one of the finest filmmakers of all time. We have known each other since, well, that was pretty much, start of our careers, about 50 years we've known of each other. Francis Coppola introduced us at one point, very young guys, and we looked at each other, and it was, over the years, I've seen him make great movie after great movie. None of them with me in it. A slight oversight. It's racked my brain for many years. I love him. I love his films. I love what he is, what he represents. And I got to know him incrementally along the way of 50 years. I got to not know him, but talk to him. And I loved him. I loved his mind. I loved his wit. I loved everything about him. So the truth is, we talked, never quite found the right thing to work on. It's not like we didn't want to work, with each other, but it just didn't happen. And that's the way the film business is. It comes and goes, and then it's gone, and then it comes back, etc. Anyone who's been in it knows that's the journey. I thought there'd be more light here, but it doesn't matter. I am so honored to be in this film, The Irishman. It makes me, it's so good. I finally got the experience of working with Marty. I was always hoping for, wow, there's always someone in the crowd, isn't it? Thank you very much for this. I have a cell phone too, but you think I would go to my pocket and, because it'd take forever for me to find how to use the light. We know that, we all know that. So here's the thing, experiences, it was all I hoped it would be, and more, of course, much, much more. For an actor, he makes you feel safe. Now, that's very important for an actor to feel safe, because you're very vulnerable when you are performing. You're almost childlike. You get into certain states because you're exposing things in yourself, and you need someone there you can trust, because you experiment, you take chances, you go as far as you can go, you push things in different directions. He is so easy to trust because you know he's in control of his craft. You know it, and you also know my phone is ringing right now. You hear it? That's my son. It's my son. Nothing too urgent. I just left that thing on. Drives Marty crazy when it goes off while we're filming, I'll tell you that. But anyway, you really saved the day. As a filmmaker, he is a true artist. He has a vision, we all know, and he generously shares it with you. He has insights that are always vivid and interesting. He sets the stage for you. Again, like a tightrope walker, you got Marty is a net. He sets it up, and then he's there. So you can do crazy things, and you do it. Things come out of you because he's there. This is something. That's why he gets some of the greatest performances known to film, really. Now, after I watched The Irishman, you haven't seen it. How many people have seen The Irishman in this room? What would you say, Marty? That's about a quarter of the audience? Third? That's okay. That's okay. I'll tell you about it. I don't want to give things away, but I don't know what to do after I see The Irishman. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there and I wondered, why do I feel this way? I felt Marty had somehow expressed something about our world and about ourselves that was more than just the elements in the story. And that is one of his great gifts. I felt after seeing this film how you feel, say, when you have read a novel that engaged you and made you feel all kinds of things and took you to so many different places. But this was a film, totally a film, not a novel. It doesn't play like, it plays like a film. Yet I felt that way. And that's how deep he goes. So his movies matter because they're about something. You feel it, you see it. The great artist, the great director he's talking about our lives, about us together, and what this is. I got a little thing here to say too. Again, I was piecing this together. I had about 5 pages of this stuff. You're so lucky. Anyway, let me say, I can't add anything to the greatness of this man's art. It is inspiring. I look at Marty Scorsese films from time to time to get a shot in the arm, like the great Shakespeare passages or some of the books I love, little paragraphs in them. I can watch 15 minutes of any one of Marty's films, and I feel elated. I want to go out, do something. That's got to say something. A lot of this stuff he was born with, you know. It's like he came with a finder in this crib. You know, one of them finders you use in films and you look at the light. Anyway, you don't know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A lot of this stuff, you know, but you know, he needs to go further. It's what we aspire to in this room, all of us, a hope and feel connected to that. That's the inspiration we get from Marty. He's not going to stand still, ever. He's not going to rest on his laurels, ever. Can you imagine what this guy's hearing tonight? The kinds of great things he's hearing tonight about him? It's great. He loves it. He loves it, of course. Why? Who wouldn't? But he's going to keep going, you know. I mean, you know, that's the beauty of it, right? He's going to keep going. That's what we cheer.
I mean, Roger does such a wonderful job bringing up, you know, getting the great films and getting the people who make them come up, and the audiences love it. It's a wonderful community event. Each of their performances are just so well done, so committed, so complete from start to finish, and it's an inspiration. All of them. I mean, it's extraordinary. Thank you.
What do you think now when you look at that picture? Was 1988?
You know, it's funny. When I look at it, I remember, you know, like it's in my body.
Wow.
I remember it. I can remember smells. It's a strong memory. Whenever I look at, you know, it's funny. I remember my life by the films and the plays that I've done. It's true.
And that one, it's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, actually. Martin Scorsese, when he came to you and said, "Here, you're going to play Jesus Christ," what was your reaction?
Well, I remember I got a call and they said, "Listen, Marty Scorsese's, you know, doing this Last Temptation of Christ movie," and I said, "Yes." Because they had been casting forever, and they were seeing everyone and their brother. They never called me. You name an actor, he went in to see Marty Scorsese for this movie. So then I remember I was teaching with this theater company, the Wooster Group, in Massachusetts, and I was staying at like. Cool. And we were, you know, I was staying at, it was a very modest teaching gig, and we were sitting in, we were in like a bed and breakfast kind of place, and the phone call came. It wasn't even in your room. It was like in a communal room. It's Martin Scorsese wants to talk to you, like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And they sent me the script. I read it. I got it immediately. Yeah. Listen, what I left out is, I thought, what role does he want me for? Really did. And then when I read the script, I said, okay, I get it. And it was a pleasure to do. And it's one of those experiences where not only did I learn a lot, but by the end of the movie, it was a very physical movie. I really felt like I did what I could, and it felt very complete.
We saw in the what I call the Willem Dafoe music video that we it was pretty amazing. We saw that crucifixion scene, right, which was so intense. Obviously, what was that like to shoot that and be?
Well, it was only strange because you know, they found archaeological information that, you know, this is how they crucified them, right? And they sat on these little seats, so they couldn't quite. You know, if they hung, they would die right away. But this would prolong because they usually collapse.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't breathe. But with this little seat, it was more like a torture. So he liked that image. So we did this thing. So get the cross up and get me connected to the cross was a big deal. And then once I got up, I could only stay up there for so long because that's an isometric and you're also in the air. So after about, 20 minutes, you start to shake.
Oh,
yeah.
odd.
So, but, it was an incredible experience, and I recommend it to anyone. No, because I'm talking about the association. Regardless of your religious upbringing, put yourself up on a cross on a mountain with a beautiful blue Moroccan sky. And, it's evocative.
It's interesting. I want to talk about another movie that you must have spent hours in makeup on, too. Playing the Green Goblin, also known as Norman, in Spider-Man.
Not at all.
Or was it just the suit?
The suit is quite severe.
Yeah.
But I basically had very little makeup, although I did have caps on my teeth, the front tooth teeth, because one of the producers at Sony said, we can't have a CEO of a big company with that gap between his teeth. It's just not credible. He would have fixed his teeth.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But I was like, okay. You know, because it was an opportunity, and it made me speak differently and made me look differently, and that sometimes is nice, you know.
Why did you dive into the world of Spider-Man? What was it about that, taking on that completely different kind of role?
You know, I like, partly from my theater background, I like doing physical things. And also, remember, this wasn't normal, making movies from comic book sources.
Right.
I'm not a snob. I say, you know, use whatever you can to make a good story and to make a good cinematic experience. And Sam Raimi approached this movie like it was a personal movie. So he was beautiful in it. I mean, he had a big stake in it, and then we had all these fun things to do. That was, you know, very early, so there was a lot of wire work, and I like doing that stuff.
Hi, this is Jim Cameron, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
This is Elizabeth Shue, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
I'm Davis Guggenheim, the director of Inconvenient Truth, and we're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
I'm Al Gore, and you are watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
I'm Dee Wallace, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
Sally Kirkland, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
Hi, I'm Rich Little, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
I'm Tito.
And I'm Jenna, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV.
My name is Gary Busey, and you're watching Santa Barbara Arts TV. I'd like to say hello to my good friend, Jeff and Sue Bridges.
This is Ernest Borgnine along with his wife Tova, and we're watching what? Santa Barbara
Arts TV.
TV.
Santa Barbara Arts TV.
Very shortly after landing on Neighbors, you gave an interview to a student newspaper in Australia, and said, quote,
"Oh God, this is embarrassing."
"I've got big dreams for the future. I want to go to LA and be a massive actor over there." Close quote.
It's quite to the point.
And after, you knew what you wanted to do, that's good. So after 3 seasons on Neighbors, or 3 years, I guess, you came here to try to make that happen. I think the big thing was initially an audition for Charlie's Angels, a reboot for TV. That did not work out, but it was not a pointless exercise, right?
No, ABC was also had Pan Am that they were putting together, and they said, well, we don't like you for this, but we'd like you to try out for Pan Am, and got the role on that. Mad Men of the Skies is how that was promoted, yes. It didn't last very long, but that was not your fault, let's just emphasize. But this was, that also, just again, to connect the dots, I would guess it was maybe because of that you were on the radar of somebody like Ellen Lewis, the casting director for one Martin Scorsese? I would like to think so, but in all honesty, I don't think Ellen Lewis had any idea who I was. But fortunately, my tape for Wolf of Wall Street did get to her. But there were, I mean, every single person I knew was auditioning for that role, because it was one of those rare instances where they didn't need a name for the part. They already had Marty directing, they already had Leo starring, so they could give a role away to an unknown, which was like music to our ears, everyone in my general demographic. So we all auditioned, and I hadn't, obviously wasn't auditioning to actually get the role. I was auditioning just to impress Ellen Lewis, who I knew was a big casting agent and could potentially lead to, you know, more auditions down the track. So that was the goal. Just make sure Ellen Lewis sees this tape. Just be just impressive enough that she sees it and remembers it. And then you get a call. Yes. Saying, I think it was funny how you processed. How did you, follow-up? I got the call, and my team were like, we have such good news. Ellen Lewis watched your tape, and I was like, oh, best day ever. Nothing could ever be better than this. And they were like, no, we're not even at the good news yet. She loved the tape, and I was like, oh my God. And they were like, no, we're not done. She loved it so much, she gave it straight to Marty to watch. And I was like, Marty. Does is that, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, that's Martin Scorsese, and they're like, yeah, everyone calls him Marty. I was like, do we, and it doesn't matter, just like he watched the tape, and I was like, well, and they were like, he loved it, and they want to fly you in to audition with him and Leo, and yeah, so it was a great phone call in the end. It was very good news. And you know, that for a lot of people I think would be pretty intimidating, to go into a room with Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio at the age of 21, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Maybe not even 20. Yeah. No, I think I was 20, maybe 21 or 22. Yeah. Okay, so you go in, and you know, knowing there's quite a lot on the line here, you ended up being, you know, pretty quick on your feet. Can you share what that audition entailed? Yes, I was on a soap for 3 years, so when I do lines, I do them exactly as the writer wrote them, and word perfect, and you had to, because it's multi-cameras and they're switching and all that kind of stuff. So I was completely thrown off when Leo started improvising in the audition, and I was like, I haven't improvised since, you know, drama class in high school. So I did a terrible first scene with him, because I was just like, oh gosh, what are we doing? So then I thought, okay, you've got probably a minute left in this room. Make it memorable, because this is never going to happen again, that you're in a room with Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. So do something important with this 1 minute. So I just like went absolutely berserk and started screaming and trying to remember every swear word I knew and just throw it at them. And we kind of like went nuts in this scene, and it all culminated to a point until the last line of the scene, he kind of brought it back to the script and said, now get over here and kiss me, is the last line. And so when I got to that line, I thought, I mean, I could kiss him right now. It would be kind of an awesome story. And then I walked over still trying to decide, and then I was like, nah, she wouldn't kiss him right now. So I smacked him in the face instead. And it seemed like the thing she would do in that moment. The character, not me, it was a character decision. And it wasn't scripted, so I think they're all thrown off by that for a second. But in the end, you know, after moments of silence where I'd considered that I'd probably go to jail and for assault and never work again, what an idiot. But they started laughing and said that was brilliant, do it again. So off to the races, yeah. Margot, it seems like there's a weird thing in Hollywood where if you explode onto the scene doing something very well, there is a tendency to get a lot of offers to do similar sorts of things, and it becomes incumbent upon the person to, you know, be very selective and smart about how they don't get trapped doing the same sort of thing. Now, in your instance, it was an interesting situation because the Duchess in The Wolf of Wall Street is described in Terrence Winter's script as, quote, the hottest blonde ever, close quote. So after that came out, I think you had some fun with that kind of image. There's the great cameo in The Big Short, talking about credit default swaps in a bathtub or something. Then there was an awesome SNL skit about surrounding a couple where the guy is a schlub and he's married to you, and they're reporting on like a sinkhole incident, and the people on TV are saying, all right, but so let's come back to how did this happen? And it was do you have a rich parent? Yeah, right. Right. No, you Google it, Matt Schatt, SNL. But I guess my question is, how challenging in a way was it to then go and find the things out there like Z for Zachariah, or things that allowed that you know, to not allow yourself to be limited in any way by other people's lack of imagination? Yeah, I know I had some amazing opportunities, but they were all very similar to playing the Duchess again, and I was really looking for the complete opposite of that, and so I went and did a small role in Sweet Francaise, where I was like a peasant farm girl and looked truly hideous, but met my husband on the job, so it's okay. Took a while, probably because I looked so hideous on set every day. Took about 2 years after that, but anyways. And Z for Zachariah is a script that I'd read a year before even doing Wolf of Wall Street, and I loved, and I met with Craig Zobel, the director, and we got along great, but I had no, value to my name. I was never going to get an indie film greenlit. And then when The Wolf of Wall Street was just about to premiere or come out, I think it was just coming out, the role became available again, and I fought so hard for it. I was like calling them. I was like, I'll get on the phone to the financiers. Trust me, I might not have value to my name now, but give me a few weeks when the movie comes out. Maybe.